Are you ready to exit the matrix? We are about to reveal one of the biggest and best kept secrets that the fitness industry is not too clear about.
Mm-mm.
If you ever seen that movie Limitless, you know that Bradley Cooper joint?
Mhm.
It's basically like that magic pill. It's analogous to that pill that he took to make his potential limitless.
I remember that movie. And when you fully understand this basic concept, it will blow your mind.
It has to be executed properly, though.
Has to be. If you're not gonna follow it to a T, you might as well leave it to the side. And this is something that's been around for hundreds of years, folks. Tried and true, and has been proven to get your health back on track
The,
with no negative side
the
effects.
best part is what I was gonna say is that it's virtually free.
It's virtually free, and it comes in at the low price of 3 hours per week minimum.
3 hours.
3 hours. That's all you need. That's all the time you need. And it can have big implications on mental cognition, focus, reduced levels of anxiety, depression, stress.
Enhanced libido,
Okay, now we talking about it now.
but it's important that we look at these positive benefits, understanding that something like this can't really be a pill. We got to dedicate some time, but it's well worth it.
And we are going to get into the nature of the secret sauce if you are going to join us for the rest of this podcast.
Stick around. It's worth it.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Cliff, I've been thinking about, like on TikTok, they have these blind rankings.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should get into a blind
You wanna
ranking.
try one of them?
Yeah.
I'm excited. I've seen them. I've laughed at a couple. Um, do you wanna explain the blind rankings, how that works for some people that might not understand?
Okay, so basically you have a list of things and you only mention them one at a time,
Okay.
and the person has to rank each one. So as you go down the list, let's say there's only 5, right? You have to think wisely, because if you want to rank something at number 1, you don't even know if that's going to be on the list.
Right. I gotta be thinking about what could potentially go higher or above when I'm okay. Yeah, let's do it up. I'm gonna need to write this down because
Okay.
visually, I'm gonna need to write it down.
I think that's a good
Yeah,
idea.
and then you guys follow along as well and rank at home. This is fun for the whole family. All right, go for it. Throw it at me. So what's the ranking? What are we ranking?
Okay, so the one that I thought about that would be fun for the audience, considering that we probably have some people who understand gym culture, gym top 5 gym pet peeves.
Ooh, okay,
Okay,
okay.
you could probably think of a few off the top,
I can.
right?
I can. I most definitely can.
Okay, are you ready?
I'm writing it. Yep. Go for it. Throw it at
Okay.
me.
Grunting loud while working out, while doing a set of an
Ugh.
exercise.
Okay. And I'm assuming this is all commercial gym.
This is
Commercial gym.
commercial gym,
Yeah.
yes.
Because I think
And commercial gym meaning not like the bodybuilder or powerlifting gyms where
yes.
it's
Different culture.
exactly.
Yeah.
This
Okay.
is like the average person that comes in
Like
to
a
do
good
their
life,
exercise.
Planet Fitness,
Yeah,
these sort of
exactly.
places. Okay. Um, that changes my answer.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
It,
let's get into it right now.
I would say grunting loudly because we've even spoken about this. It's like if you're putting in the right levels of effort and things of that nature, a little grunt is gonna come out now and again. So if we're talking about decibel level grunts that are going and exceeding, um, like opera singer levels, then I'll probably say that's a little annoying. But on the scale of other things that I don't like in the gym, I probably put it low. I'll probably put it around 4.
4. Okay, write that down.
I'll probably put that around
Um,
4.
in my opinion, I think if you are grunting at rep number one
Yeah,
of a 10 set, of a 10 repetition set,
yeah,
then that is annoying.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah. Every
basically
single rep is just
that's grunting
yeah,
for attention,
yeah.
right? We don't need that.
You've been here 5 minutes.
Exactly.
Let's get serious. Yeah, fair enough.
Okay, so person who is using two machines at
Oh,
once to do a superset. Now, folks, a superset is basically when you do two a pair of exercises, one after the other,
back.
back to back, without any rest. So it's a great way to save time. We can get into that in more depth
Yeah.
eventually, but so what do you think? Where would you rank that one?
See, I'm also someone that will get into a superset, but the issue for me comes into like giant sets, pyramid sets that we can talk about other variables that affect intensity and frequency and things of that nature when it comes to lifting. That's where I think like if you're doing two machines and they're within close proximity, I'll just work alternate. So like let's say you're supersetting a tricep cable with like a chest fly. When you're not using the fly, I'll use the whatever pulley system to do like say I'm doing lat pullovers with the same cables. Then I can kind of work around that. It's when you're like doing like 3, 4 different things. You've created a little circuit for yourself, and it's in the middle of the bench or something. That's where location is cool too. Like if you're like bicep curling in the squat rack, and then you're also like ba- um like chest pressing on the bench. Like that's where it's like, all right, dude. Like you know.
Okay, well, what if it's a busy time? Like let's say it's 5 p.m.,
Ooh,
5:30 p.m. I
attaboy.
never work out at that time just because of that. But let's say people, when people are shoulder tapping you saying, "Hey,
Yeah.
how many more do you have?
Okay.
How many more sets do you have?"
Things like that. Okay.
Yeah.
I would still I'll put that middle. I'll put that number
Okay.
3. I'll put that number 3.
Interesting.
I feel like that's higher up on yours, the way you're saying it right now.
I go at 5 a.m., so I don't have to worry about anything.
Oh,
I could giant set.
look at me. I am better than everybody else
That's not what
here.
I'm saying.
No,
That's not what I'm
I hear
saying.
you. I
But
hear
I
you.
could superset like, I could triset squat rack
Yeah.
with
Hear
I
that?
don't know,
People try set. You know what I mean? You guys are out here doing just back to back. We're doing try sets, baby.
whatever, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I
Let's
got
get
you.
on
I
with
got
it.
you.
Okay. Um okay, fitness influencers in the gym filming, tripods, everything. Tripod,
um,
mic, four
what
people.
we're in a unique place with that because you know this does the levels that we expect it to do. We are gonna be in that space and hopefully doing things like that to help you guys. So I think I have a higher threshold than probably maybe say someone who isn't in the industry at all, who's maybe just on a 9 to 5, has a family, and is going in and out of the gym. So I probably put that a little bit. I probably put that a little bit lower. I'd probably say podcast, ladies and gentlemen. From okay.
Okay,
No, no, I think I can just pick up from
okay.
the fact,
Influencers.
yeah, the fact that we're gonna be doing that. So good. Okay. So seeing as how we're gonna be in that space, I see it a little bit differently. So I think my threshold is a little bit higher for that. Like I'm not as annoyed. The thing that annoys me, if anything, is like when um if anything is with influencers or people that are making social media content are upset when other people are in it. It's a public space. um so my thing is as long as nothing like that is happening, I'm pretty cool with it. So I probably put that like 5 is low, but I think I'm given how it's panning out, I probably put it
Yeah.
down there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would say as long as people are not, it depends on how many influencers are in there. Like if you've got tripods everywhere and you're like stepping over
Yeah.
tripods to get to your equipment, that can be kind of annoying. And if people are there working out and they don't want to be on social media as
Mhm.
like a background person, then that could be kind of annoying,
Yeah.
right? You
Fair
don't think
enough.
so?
Fair enough. I just think most of the time where you're gonna see that level of influencer is gonna be at a private gym. I don't think you're gonna see that at a commercial gym
Okay.
unless there's like some sort of convention or promotion that's going on.
Okay. People leaving weights unracked.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's gotta go. I mean, I think that you're gonna say one, so I don't.
Let's
So,
explain what unracked means.
yeah.
So just imagine this, like you're at the gym, you're going over to a machine or a bench press, and there are weights. There's like two 45-pound plates on either side, and you are someone who is not yet very strong, and you have to take those weights off to put your weights on. I think that's
I have
that's
even
gym etiquette.
I have even
No,
a
no.
worse one.
Okay.
Leg press is the worst.
Oh,
Leg
yeah.
press is notorious. You'll have like 17 plates on there of like some guy. And we're gonna talk about this in the 1 minute debate, but some partial reps. I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. It looks like he's doing calf raises. He says he's working his quads, and then he'll just leave it. So a rule of thumb that a lot of gym staff and you'll hear a lot in gym culture would be like, if you can lift it, then you should be able to lift it and put it back. And if you can't, then you probably shouldn't be stacking that on the bar in the first place. So that's pretty high up for me. Just because I know we've also both like been victims of having to put back other people's weights. I don't think the average Joe cares as much.
Yeah.
Um, but we're PSA, put back your weights. Okay. So I'll probably put that number two.
Okay.
Not necessarily. 'Cause I do think that you have a bombshell in there for me. So I'm gonna put that number two.
Okay. Next one. Last one, actually.
Mhm.
Guys or girls hitting on others,
Ooh.
other gym goers at the gym.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Numero uno. Numero uno. We're not there for this, okay? We're here for self-improvement. We're and especially um like I know how difficult it is now being in this being like a trainer. I've worked at numerous other gyms and hearing from women themselves like how much courage even gets to be in like the dumbbell section, not be just in the women's only section if the gym even has that, you know. And then on top of that, you got to deal with, unnecessary attention, all this sort of stuff, right? Um so just from hearing that and hearing that, like, I think there's a way to go about it. If you are going to, show interest in someone, whether male or female, I think doing it mid set is crazy. Like that's insane. I don't know. Like when I've definitely seen it. I know you've also probably seen it as well. So just having a little bit of um decorum when it comes to how you're approaching someone, and then um I personally won't do it in the gym because I know I'm coming there for self-improvement. So if it is something where there's some sort of attraction, or I do want to talk to them, I'm probably going to catch them after the workout, or maybe we're walking out, or I might mention something, you know, and yeah, if the energy is reciprocated,
Hey
then move
guys, take
forward.
notes.
Yeah.
Take notes. Clifton's dropping some bombs.
Yeah, I mean, not no Casanova by any extent, but I haven't gotten cussed out in the gym either. So, so I think at least in that terms, but yeah, I think I'm okay
Right.
with that being number one.
Sick.
I don't know if I changed too much there. I'm quite happy.
You're quite happy with
I'm
that?
quite happy with that.
Okay.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Gym etiquette. Yeah,
I had a couple other ones too.
yeah. You want to kind of just fire them
Yeah,
off?
I'll fire one off there.
Right.
Okay, you ever see you ever see a guy
Maybe we can get our
or
engineers' opinion on this one too.
okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. So have you ever seen a guy standing at the squat rack doing bicep curls?
Yeah. Bit mod,
You
bit
ever
mod.
do that?
Never. I've done it in a like non-packed gym, so like the
Yeah,
5
yeah,
a.m. club type stuff,
right.
or mainly now we're in a unique position where most of the times that we're in the gym are dead hours,
Mhm.
because we're dealing with clients. So peak hours, usually in gyms, you're looking at like your 9 to 12s, and then also I'd say from like 4 5 ish to like 8 9 p.m.
Right,
So we're not usually in the gym at those times.
right.
We're
True.
either through from 12 to 3. So even if I am in a squat rack, I'm very conscious of like size or not size
Bro,
of like
they usually
capacity.
have a stack of barbells that you could do
Yeah,
your curls at.
fair enough.
You know what I mean? Like there's
You know what it
usually
is? You know what it is? I just like feeling the grip sometimes. If I'm being
stop
so
making
honest.
these excuses,
Yeah.
bro.
I like
The
feeling.
squat rack is meant for squats.
Yeah, Adam is making a stance here,
I'm
folks.
making a stance.
Make your PSA. Make your PSA.
Public service announcement.
Go
Don't
for it.
do bicep curls at the squat rack unless you want to get laughed at.
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah.
Done.
So when me and Adam work out, I am going to make sure that I have at least one exercise because we're gonna do one for him following his regimen and one for me following mine. And I'm gonna make sure I put some squat rack bicep curls in there just for that.
Okay.
Just for that.
Okay. Okay. Hand me that cue card. I just
Okay.
want to see that.
So you gonna
Okay.
list them on?
No, I don't think we have to list them off.
Okay, perfect. If anything, we'll see if we can
We'll throw it up.
list them.
Yeah, we'll throw it up on the screen or
Yeah.
something. Yeah. Okay. So do you have one
Okay.
for me?
I can
I'd
throw
like
one
to play
back.
this game.
Yeah, I would like to throw one back at you. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So so yeah, hopefully you guys get the concept by now. Um, and please follow along at home. Play the game. That's how we make it a little bit more enjoyable for yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Post some comments.
Top glute exercises
Ooh.
top exercises for glute development.
Hey,
This is
this is
a
a
hot button,
hot topic right
hot
now.
button topic right here.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna randomly list them off, and I want you to just rank them.
I think first, before we do this, I think
Mhm.
we have to um, explain to our audience what the glute is. Okay. The
I think.
gluteus maximus,
Okay.
the gluteus minimus, and
Yeah.
the gluteus
Medius
medius. Okay. There are three different heads
that make up
that make up the glutes. Okay.
great body part.
Yes. Now, if you've noticed, nowadays, most, especially women, are working on their glutes.
Mhm.
I want to make a comment before we go into this. Okay.
Okay.
So I was like right at the pandemic, when the COVID-19 pandemics hit.
Mhm.
I was working out at LA Fitness. Okay. I quickly canceled my gym membership.
Really?
Yeah, because I have this studio here,
Mhm.
right? I have this physio clinic that has a nice little exercise area,
Mhm.
right? We have some pretty good equipment. We have a Kaiser machine, functional trainer. We have a squat rack, some
Mhm.
dumbbells,
It's nice.
some kettlebells. You guys will get to see it if you haven't, seen the space before,
Or you can always just look it up as well. I
or you
think
can
it's
look it up. Yeah.
online. Yeah.
Um, so what I noticed, a change from then till now, is that I'm seeing way more people, especially women, lifting weights. And I
It's beautiful.
love that.
It's a
I
beautiful
love
thing.
that.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I love that because typically you would see women in the cardio section
Yep.
or the group fitness
Mhm.
classes.
The Zumbas, the aqua
Right.
classes. Yeah. Yeah.
And we'll get into eventually why those options aren't the greatest. Granted, if you are not exercising at all,
I was just about to say.
then doing a class would be better than nothing.
Yeah.
But the secret sauce
The
that we're going to
secret
touch
sauce.
on
Mm-hmm.
has to do with this. So, anyways, all I wanted to say is it's beautiful to see women
Lifting.
squatting,
Yeah.
deadlifting, and significant weights with good technique and good form. Like I
Yeah.
love that. I
Yeah.
love it.
It's great to see because of how far it's come. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Yeah. I'm
Okay. Well,
seeing
so
a
what are these exercises?
okay. All right, sir, Mr. Chang.
Yes, sir.
Um, we're gonna throw you off for a loop right now.
All right. Let's do it.
Cable kickbacks, 1 to 5.
Cable kickbacks.
Yes, sir. Also
Number
known as a
5.
donkey
Number
kick.
5.
Number- I
Straight
love
up.
how I love how you like drum that up. I knew you were. And I want a brief explanation. I'm not gonna give too
Of
much
what it
back and forth
is.
because this is yours, and then I'm gonna say at the end.
Okay. So the cable kickback is you're on all fours,
Mhm,
right? You're on your hands and knees.
mhm.
Just so that we're on the right page. So you're on hands
I
and
was
knees,
thinking I was thinking standing.
standing cable kickback.
So up from here and then just like hip extension going back.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's slightly different, I
Yeah.
think, right? So
Still I mean there's different variations of but yeah, I understand what you're saying.
okay,
That's more the donkey kick that I was yeah.
yeah.
Similar. But yeah, all encompassing, all those
Okay,
movements.
so basically you have the cable attached to your ankle
Mhm,
or around your foot,
mhm,
and the resistance is coming from the cable machine, so you're extending the leg back behind you,
mhm.
correct? That's the exercise we're talking about.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And you put it 5.
I put out number 5 because it's an open chain movement, which means you are moving the limb in space rather than moving your body with a fixed limb to the floor.
Okay.
Okay. So it's open chain. It's not as functional as some of the other ones. So
Okay.
this is actually one that I would never give somebody. So I would put it like number 20, actually.
Damn. No love for the cable
No
kickbacks.
love.
I'm gonna save all of my thoughts for the end.
Okay.
So number 5, cable kickbacks. Okay. I'm gonna go into a step up. Step up. So you have a box, maybe a dumbbell, starting maybe body weight. We're driving that foot in towards the box. We're doing a step up.
Okay, this is where it gets tricky because there are ones that I
Thank you.
really like, but
Thank you.
this is also a very, very functional movement. Now, okay, are the goals to
We're just
get
talking glute
the
development.
biggest glute?
We're talking hypertrophy. So
Okay,
growth, muscle growth to the glutes. So size.
okay.
We're not
I
talking strength. We're not talking
I
functionality.
think that you're gonna have some of my favorites on this list. I hope
Yeah.
anyways. So I'm gonna put this at number 4.
Okay. I'm gonna throw you a real good one here. One that I know that we both love.
Before we go on though,
Yeah.
the step up has to be done the right way
To engage it.
to engage the glute.
The conversation afterwards is gonna be great
Okay.
because we can kind of get into that, and that's
All
why I
right.
use these specific movements because I think there's a lot of
I like that.
branch
Yes,
points.
yes.
All right.
Okay.
Oh, I got a nice little cosign there from the co-host. Nice. Squats. So you're whoa. So you're putting full 4. So I'm
Cable kickbacks number 5.
yeah. And
Step ups number 4.
okay. And we got a heater here. One of the majors. Squats. Barbell squats.
Barbell back squats or front
Barbell
squats?
back squats, baby. We're talking about fundamentals here. One of the 3 major compound lifts.
I put that at number
Well, I guess if you're including military press 4.
put that at number 3. Yep.
Interesting. Oh, great conversation piece afterwards. Number 3. Okay. We have hip thrusts. Yeah. Barbell hip thrusts.
I'm gonna say that's a tough one because I only have 2 left,
Yeah. You gotta be
and I have
economical
I
here.
have a feeling you're not including one that
I
my
might not.
favorite.
I might
So
not.
I'm gonna put that at
I don't think
number.
I am because I think I know what you might want it to be.
Okay, I'm
And
gonna put that at number 2.
oh, you're gonna hate. I think you're not gonna like this how this went going
Okay,
for
let's
you.
see.
But that's the point of the
Shoot.
game. Leg press. Yeah. I know. That's the game, folks.
Okay.
That's the game. I
Okay,
gave you a really tough time with that.
one thing I realized about this game
Yeah.
is the order in which you voice it or you communicate it to the
Mm,
person ranking,
mm,
really makes a difference.
100%.
Okay.
That's what makes it's like, let's say we're talking about, favorite food. You know what
Right.
I mean? And all I gave you was like, um, sardines and all these sort of stuff. Or and then I just gave you pasta out of nowhere. You'd be like, damn, I wish you would have said that a little bit earlier. I might have changed things around, you know?
It is subjective, right?
Yeah, 100%. And
Okay.
then now we get to go and dive in a little bit deeper
Yeah,
because
I
I
think
think
we
me
should
and you
dive
can,
into this a little.
yeah, because I think me and you can both agree leg presses is not going to do anything for the glutes.
No, I
Yeah.
think the leg press, it's hard to get deep enough into the range of motion.
Hmm.
I mean, there's always debates, but um
Yeah.
getting getting into the end of the range, so really getting a stretch on the muscle is important when we're trying to activate properly.
Hmm.
So no, the leg press won't do it. And actually, I did leg press the other day,
Hmm.
for the first time in a long time,
Yeah.
and I realized why I don't really like the exercise as much. Is because
Can I guess?
okay, yeah, guess
Hip placement, like hip impingement, like
yeah,
being fixated in that same position, lying down.
kind of.
Okay, go ahead.
I think it's too much of a strain on your lower back to get deep. That's a
Yeah,
problem
yeah.
because I've had a few different patients
Mhm.
coming in injuring their back b- while doing a leg press.
But I also think it's because no one's squatting properly. So a lot of people are squatting with improper technique and they're transferring that over to their machine lifts. So they're not really learning how to engage their, like, how much people, when you say, like, I can count numerous times where I've been like, brace your core, and people are looking at me like I have three heads because, or how ankle mobility uh can play into your squat, hip tightness, stiffness can play into, or hip flexor tightness can play into glute inactivity. These sorts of things, I think, that are only compounded more when you're doing machine lifts, because I'm afraid I don't want to get injured. The way to get out of that is to learn how to move better,
Mhm.
and then when you're in a isolating exercise, or exercise in the, like a leg press, where you're just focusing on maybe one aspect of the movement, you'll get a lot more benefit.
Here's the thing though, I have a very deep squat
Mhm.
and I can squat like using a barbell back squat. I
Mhm.
can deep I
I've seen
can
it.
yeah,
I've
I can
seen it.
go pretty deep.
Very, very
But then I
third
go
world,
on to
third
this
world, third
and
world. Yeah,
then I go on to the leg press and all of a sudden I'm finding that there's so much compression at the front of the joint,
yeah.
which it's uncomfortable and I find my pelvis actually tilting back, which then puts more strain on my lower back. And I've seen, like I said, patients come in with disc herniations because of the leg press. I mean, you may not think of it as being, you mainly think of like deadlifts causing it, but
I think leverage points are also a key thing. So I'm significant. Like, my legs are a lot shorter than yours. So I've always found squatting range of motions more comfortable. So I'm more comfortable in that sort of position, and ever since learning how to brace more and understanding how that coincides with low back, in like, just like concept like known as wheel theory. So whatever is tight or weak, the opposing side. So if we're looking at um, hip flexors, core, transverse abdominal, glutes, and QL, or low back, by manipulating what in that chain is maybe putting you into a pelvic tilt, or driving you down, stabilizing that hip joint a little bit more, shifting that down, and then going into your movements. So things like dead bugs, or isometric holds, planks. These sort of things can kind of teach you how to keep your trunk a little bit more stable, so that when you go into these exercises, you don't feel. And that, mixed with, I think, you have longer legs. It's a lot longer of a distance to travel, might play into it as well. I just think there's other. I think we're so quick to just be like, this exercise is not the thing, but it could be
your
this
body type.
body
Yeah.
type, and then also, how are you moving elsewhere? I would just ask these questions. Do you also experience pain when you are squatting? Are you also experiencing pain when you're going up the steps. You know what I mean? Because that can maybe tell me signs like where's your foot positioning on that? You know, do you feel more pressure through your heel, through your toe? I'm very low to just be like, okay, we're not gonna do this. I use that to extrapolate. Okay, you don't like this exercise. It's probably because of something that's happening fundamentally with how you're moving, and then being like, okay, either this doesn't
I
really
think
work for you.
people like the leg press
Yeah,
because they can throw on a bunch of weight, like you
that's
said,
another great point.
and
Yeah,
the range of
you're not.
motion
It's
is
questionable.
smaller. That's why.
To put it kindly, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um,
100%. Yeah,
that's just my opinion.
fair enough. Fair
And
enough.
we're talking about glute development,
Yeah, no, you're not gonna
so
get.
we're not getting
Yeah,
glute. Like it's
even with all of that I just said, you're still not
now
getting
it's
glute.
great for quad development,
hundred
right?
percent. Yeah.
Okay. So that's that one.
I was curious. I wanted to ask you because the step up one. That's one I wanted
Hmm.
to get into, because the setup, like you said, is so crucial
Yeah.
to what sort of muscle you want to attack.
Okay. Okay, so when we think about strategy of movement, you can use a hip strategy or you can use a knee strategy. Okay. And it all depends on where your center of mass is positioned. Okay. So your center of mass is typically around the solar plex region. Okay.
Mm.
Now
So think like
it has to do with
mid chest.
physics.
Yeah.
It has to do with physics.
Mm.
So if your center of mass is further away from the hip, so meaning if you're in a hinge position where your trunk is leaning forward more, you're going to get more hip dominance. So you're going to get your hip working more in that movement.
Mm.
Whereas if you keep an upright trunk as you step up, your center of mass is actually over your hip joint and is further away from your knee.
Mm.
So really what's going to happen is you're going to work
Quads.
your quads
Yeah.
more. So if you're using the step up as a glute exercise, then you have to be hinging and leaning
Slightly.
forward to get that glute activation.
Yep.
But it can be a great exercise.
Yep.
Actually, if I look at I would actually put
Yeah. If you could rearrange it, yeah, let's do that. That's interesting.
okay, so if I were to
Knowing
rearrange
all the
this,
numbers now.
I would put okay, depending on the person's biomechanics and the way their body's set up, which is what
Mm.
you were just
Yeah.
discussing, back squats could be number one.
I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
Squats.
Now, if you have longer femurs,
Mm.
it's going to be harder to maintain a hip hinge. Okay.
Mm.
So it's going to be harder to maintain a hip hinge.
Mm.
If,
Okay.
all right. So rearranging.
Yeah. So yeah, if you had to rearrange, I think that'd be a cool little exercise.
Okay.
So now knowing, because now it's no longer blind. You know all the exercises. I'm
Mhm.
giving you these 5 exercises, and I'm saying rank them from best to worst in terms of glute development.
Okay. So leg press is going to go at number five.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
I kind of,
That's going to drop down to number
yeah,
five.
kind of set you up there.
Um, the cable kickbacks will move up to number four.
Okay.
Okay. Step ups, utilizing a hip strategy,
Mm.
is going to move up to number three.
Okay.
Now, this is in between the hip thrust and the
Yeah. This is
back
the
squats,
yeah
which has been
the debate.
a debate for a while
Yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah. We could do
Okay.
a whole episode on that, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Because you have,
So if you had to put it in brief terms of your own personal opinion, your own personal work with clients, what you've seen, where would you rank those two?
okay, so I would put hip thrust at number one, and I'll put barbell back squats at number two.
I hear that.
I'll say this because the hip thrust, regardless of your anatomy, you will be able to activate your glutes and mainly your glutes.
Yeah, a lot.
Okay. Now, my argument for barbell back squats being potentially number one is because you can get a better stretch on the glute if you have the range of motion and if you don't have femurs that are too long in relation to your torso. Because if your torso is shorter and your femurs are longer, it's actually a lot more difficult to get into a proper
Yeah.
hinge,
And
right?
now we're talking a little bit more of leverage points and how that coincides to muscle activation,
Yeah,
which is a little
exactly.
bit something we can get into another time.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was a good little educational
Yeah.
exercise.
I hope you guys enjoyed that. We're along for that ride. We're gonna uh take a quick break and then get into the open discussion.
Let's do it.
All right. All right. Again.
Yeah, so we wanted to have a little open discussion. I wanted to ask you a couple questions actually, just
Okay.
to see where you're at.
Okay.
Um, how many of your, social circles or people in your social circles and family members can you say are in optimal health?
Are in optimal health.
I ask you this question because in in our communities, I'm really seeing a lot of ill health and a lot of things that could be prevented.
Mhm.
So I just wanted to know, just getting a little more serious right now,
Mhm.
what your thoughts are. Because when I think of my why statement, like why I want to start this podcast,
Mhm.
it's to be another voice saying the right stuff.
Mhm.
And also, hopefully, to get some of my loved ones, people I care about the
Mhm.
most, tuning in and actually listening to the advice that we are providing. You know, the old saying, um,
Show don't tell.
you can't be a prophet in your own town.
I've heard of it, but break that down.
So sometimes it's hard when you are a professional, when you're a health professional, to get through to your family members
Yeah.
about about these topics, right? Because they see you as, their son or
Yeah.
their cousin or brother, whatever it may
Yeah.
be,
It's like I
right?
seen you in your diapers. How am I now gonna have
Exactly.
you tell me about like I literally raised you and now you're gonna be telling me about something I'm doing wrong. There's the certain dynamics are hard to come back from. Yeah.
Pick me, I'm me raise you.
Yeah, especially in a Caribbean household, me and my brother could attest to that right there. But to answer that question, I would say optimal health. I'm gonna define optimal
Okay.
health, and you tell me if it lines up with your definition.
That's yes, that's what I was gonna ask.
So optimal health for me is um being able to. I'm gonna use some real world examples. Being able to walk up steps, without getting out of breath. You being able to get out of bed without any sort of pain or ailment or chronic pain. Um, being able to uh, function in your day to day to with limited to no pain. That's kind of like my because I think that's a very uh baseline understanding of where I think everybody in a perfect world should be.
I
Yeah,
like how you said minimal pain
yeah,
because pain is actually a sign that your body's working properly,
fair enough. Yeah,
right? Because it is protective.
yeah,
Now, you should not be feeling pain all the time,
chronically or
right?
yeah,
And people do experience chronic pain, and
it
that's a very
sucks.
deep
Tough.
that's a very deep topic and
Yeah,
something that we could go into in
yeah,
a future podcast,
yeah,
like more in depth, because
hundred
I
percent.
do deal with a lot of patients with chronic pain.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, so
yeah.
I like that definition. I like
Mm,
that. That's very. I don't think that's optimal.
mhm.
I think that's.
So what's your definition of
I think
optimal?
what you described is suboptimal,
Okay.
like not poor health,
Mhm,
but just being able to get out of bed,
mhm,
climb stairs without breathing hard,
mhm,
and that kind of thing, like
mhm.
functioning within your activities of daily living.
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
thinking. I'm
that
thinking daily activity. Yeah.
okay.
Mm,
My idea, so I'll give you like an analogy. because I like analogies.
You and
I'm the analogy
analogies,
guy.
man. You're big. Yeah.
But I have to educate people on a daily basis,
Mhm.
so I have to put things in perspective for people,
Yeah.
right? So one analogy that I really like, I took this from this one of the top bodybuilders in his time. He was actually uh, he was in the Mr. Olympia, and I think he his the best he placed was like fifth or something. But his name is Ben Pakulski,
Mhm.
Canadian as well.
Oh wow.
But he mentioned this analogy, and I really like it. It's amazing. It's a really good way. So the idea of a corridor. Okay, you're walking through life
Mhm.
through a corridor. Okay, at birth, this is my little spin on it, right? At birth, the corridor is wide open. It's like a football field or even more. So you can't hit the walls. You have so much space to run and move. But as you decrease your functional health or your ability to have good mobility,
Mhm.
that corridor starts to narrow,
Right.
right? So you're not able to get through life and do all the things you want to do. You're um kind of stuck, right? You don't have enough wiggle room.
Mhm.
So what I like to tell people is to improve your mobility.
Mhm.
Mobility means having flexibility and range of motion, but with stability and strength.
Mhm.
So owning the mobility that you have.
Mhm.
Once you have that, that corridor widens for you.
Right.
So let's say you want to, you know, pick up, basketball once a week, something you did when you were younger. Now you want to be a weekend warrior.
Mhm.
If you don't have the mobility, you
Not
can
gonna be
end up
able.
injured, right?
And you
Things
could have a certain amount of muscle to you as well. Like this is independent of like where your build is at, because if you're not able to stabilize at that joint, you're just as susceptible to injury.
And you could think of this corridor analogy um, as different pillars of health as well, right? Like
Yeah.
lack of strength
Mm.
narrows your corridor, lack of mobility narrows your corridor, lack of endurance narrows that corridor as
Lack
well.
of cardiovascular health. Yeah.
Exactly. So, how many, you don't have to say exactly how many, but do you find that in your social circles,
Mhm.
people actually have a more narrow corridor?
If I were to put in percentages, just to give a kind of like make a pie chart,
Yeah.
I would say less than 10% out of the people I know in my circle, that by that definition, so we're kind of moving a little bit further away from just like being able to get up and um, do your day to day.
Mhm.
Because I think a lot of people live in that, but they live in chronic pain, and so they might be able to do these things, but they're they're not even, most of the time, people don't even realize the life that they're living and how diminished their quality of life has
Ah,
been.
I like
That's a
that.
Yeah.
And the reason why is often because they don't actually test their boundaries, right?
I also want to take a moment to be like, we're not. This is not a harsh thing, because life gets hectic. That's one of the reasons why we want to be a voice, is to remind
Facts.
people
Facts.
that we have to get reminded of these things as fitness professionals, because we put business first. We've been trying to put, like, this podcast is an example of like how much time and effort, now getting like more people on the team, you know and the time it took to orchestrate, get the lights. Wow, okay, how long are we going to be? Okay, how long can
It's a
you
process.
have family, kids, studio, clinic, a studio to run, businesses that are trying to, so business that we're trying to manage
Establish.
and establish. So it's like, we're not saying this is everybody can get the reminder of how crucial it is to, when life gets busy, how do we manage that when careers move forward, when you get kids, when you get married, you know,
All the milestones,
all
right?
the milestones, you know,
Yeah,
how do
and
we get around that?
I
School,
like to call it seasons of life, right?
yeah. I do chapters.
Okay,
The
whatever.
chapters. Well, yeah, that's cool too. Yeah,
Chapters of life.
yeah.
It
We're
sounds like
so
a
nerdy. Like,
sounds like a novel or something.
I know, it's very bad. Yeah,
Um,
yeah. You're
but
saying
I
season.
like the concept of agency. Okay, that's
Yes,
been a buzzword.
control, man.
Yeah, having control over the aspects of your life that you do have. So understanding the modifiable risk factors, right? And that's basically the decisions you make that you have control over that can ultimately improve your health. That at the end of the day, that's what it is.
And here's the thing, guys. You improve your health, you're gonna show up better for that family that you're working so hard for. You're gonna show up better at that job that you want to perform for. Or they, you're gonna come up. We're gonna be in a better mental space to create. Like, let's say you're in a creative job where you have to come up with new ideas, and you're in a plateau or state. You can only benefit from moving more, getting more blood flow and stimulation to the brain to then help with mental focus. These things, these are well documented. We're not just talking out of our ass here. These are well documented, you know, things that have direct correlation sometimes to improved just overall.
Listen, we are guided by the industries and the markets.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, we have, the food industry that knows the human weaknesses.
Yeah.
They know what creates addiction. They know how to. They know that we search for dopamine hits because we are under a lot of stress. So understanding that and taking agency is basically what I think having optimal health is. You don't have to go crazy over your diet and
Counting everything
yeah,
and
no.
measuring. Yeah.
I think there are simple rules that you should live by, right? Like I have certain rules that keep things in check.
Mm.
I know that if I eat adequate protein, which is a lot more than what the average person eats
Or even thinks they should
or
be
thinks
eating.
they should be
Yeah.
eating, right? And that's another topic. It satiates me, and I don't feel the need to overeat. Plus, I'm getting the nutrients to sustain my tissues, right? And to replace any tissue turnover,
Yeah.
right?
And ultimately, I think that's where I want to kick it back to you. Um, would you say that it's 10%? When I said that number, did that shock you? I didn't see a lot of reaction. Or did you or is that for you less or more?
It's hard to say like percentage wise, but
I know, but just like roughly over top of your head, we're not gonna get a meta analysis today and like
okay,
call up all your
if I exclude people um who are educated in the things that we're educated in and that are
No, no, no. I
functioning.
want you to include those people. Like, this is like your own circles, own social people. You close your
Okay,
eyes, you can think of their faces. How much?
so
What if you had to give a percentage of how much those people are in optimal health?
I think you gravitate towards the people who make you a better person, or birds of a feather flock
Together,
together,
yeah,
right? Um, I would say that's about right. 10%.
10%.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'd say 10.
10%.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Now I see in certain other communities that percentage is probably higher
yeah,
based on all the people that I see coming into the clinic.
mhm,
If I assess what their level of mobility is and strength and how they're functioning at that age, I can see a stark difference
mhm,
between people who are white collar and higher education
mhm,
professionals that are now in their late 60s 70s. When I ask them if they're functioning at a high level, like I have some 84-year-olds that are playing tennis twice a week,
Love
2 hours
that.
at a time,
Love that.
and they have no
Tough sport,
pain.
by the way.
Yeah, and they're coming in with like, oh, a little pain in their toe that they haven't had ever.
Mhm.
And then I see people in their 60s that can barely stand upright
Aging at a
at a higher, faster rate.
we're gonna be doing 1 minute debates today, and I'm gonna be speaking to like the health and of ligaments, joints, and tendons. In particular to like full range versus partial range of motion. And one of the things that I came across when I was reading up for that was that same thing of we are now aging 10 years earlier. So 50 years ago, 30, and what that looked like is now, you know, seeing it as like 40, 50. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
people at 30 are exhibiting health complications that were only supposed to be expected at 40, 50. You know what I mean? So, and it's continue, and then it's extrapolate the same thing. What we are seeing at 50, 60, that we usually see at 80, we're now seeing at 50, 60, you know?
for sure.
So, um, and that's all just down due to more sedentary lifestyle. Um, think about, especially after pandemic, how much people are working from home. Um, just being in, a lot of seated positions for extended periods of the day. You know,
Yeah,
no.
all right.
You want to take another break and then get into the next,
Yeah, let's take another break.
yeah, or maybe break could just be like, yeah,
Oh, pause.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We need to conclude that though. What's our thing to conclude that? Are we
Um,
gonna wrap? Or are we just gonna end it there and then go?
is there something else that you want to talk about?
No, not
Okay,
really.
no, actually, I have a thought. I have a
Okay,
thought.
and then we're gonna end on this. So you want me to kick it to you?
Yeah.
I guess you could
You
just
have a
go.
question for me?
Mm, no, I think we hit the nail on the head with that. I think people understand like the main point we're just trying to say with that is um using our own families and stuff as a way to kind of look into like, okay, you know what? I want you guys to think of the people that you love and your own,
Yeah, that's a great
and
idea.
then end it and then transition.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. So maybe go into yours and then I can open that up.
Okay.
Or you can just
Yeah,
go.
I was just gonna say, I have two young kids, right? I have a son that's 4.5, and I have a daughter that's 2.5. So, it's been a hectic
Yeah.
lifestyle over the past 5 years, let's say,
Yeah.
right? And one thing I notice is you have to pay attention to, uh, obviously, you have these things that are driving your behaviors, right? And then for me, it's definitely sleep has been an issue.
Mm,
Sleep has been a problem because of, and this could be due to kids, or some people have to work, multiple jobs or shift work, right?
yeah.
So getting a grasp of what the big rocks are. When I say big rocks, the big rocks that should be moved before you start, looking at the little pebbles that don't really matter. It's like splitting hairs, right?
It's not gonna move the meter too much to focus on.
Exactly. So I know most people may be tuning in to learn about like burning body fat and building
Yeah.
muscle,
Which
right?
we will touch on, but yeah.
I think it's important to think about those big rocks as it relates to your optimizing your health.
Yeah.
So, circumstances may put you in a position where your sleep is very limited. Now, when sleep is limited, you can't be worrying about how much volume you're doing in the gym.
Yeah, your intensity's gotta drop tremendously.
Yeah, and sometimes you need to just actually take a break,
Yeah.
go for a walk,
Yeah,
do
literally.
some yoga or something.
100%. Because
And
your mental is so fried. So you gotta think your parasympathetic system and central nervous system probably just needs even a break from,
exactly.
if you got a stressful work. Let's say some people work in some pretty high stressful environments as well. high octane. A lot is expected of you, a lot is demanded of you, and then bills. I mean, just life in general. You also got to deal with that.
I think a lot of those people, even though they're stressed out, like their cortisol is on high, they're also cortisol junkies.
Mm,
You know, that's kind of the term. They want to go to the gym and they want to do a high intensity class.
yeah.
And often we have to say, okay, scale it back.
Yep.
Think about recovery. Maybe you need to work a program that's actually has more
Mm,
rest periods in
yeah.
between sets and in between exercises. Maybe you can't be doing so much volume,
Yeah.
right? So for me, when both of my kids were really young, I still have issues with my daughter's sleep,
Mm,
and I have to think about that first,
100%.
right? And I've had to go through periods where
Hmm.
I'm adjusting what I'm doing uh, in response to that.
Yeah.
And then once things are better, then that's when you can now try to really sprint,
Yeah.
right? Metaphorically speaking, it's not a sprint the whole time.
Mhm.
We talked about this
Yeah.
in our little discussion about the podcast. You know, we want to sprint right now. Andre mentioned this,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
We want to sprint, but we should be crawling,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So just knowing where you're at and thinking about that first
Yeah.
will help a lot to get you to your optimization of your health.
Yeah. And don't get too bogged down in the optimization of it. We're working to get you to the best quality of life for you, So like Adam said, dealing with the biggest rocks first. And I kind of want to kick it to you guys now to I want you guys to try this as a little exercise, think about the people that are in your life, the people that you love, your mom, your dad, extended family, cousins, family, friends, co-workers, people that you see on a day to
Husband,
day,
wife,
husband, wife, mother-in-law, sister-in-law. I want think about these people and include yourself in that. Do a little self inventory on where you're at with your health, you know, um, and where those people are, and really think how much of those people are are maximizing their their quality of life.
maximizing their potential.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, some
Well,
a thought exercise for you there.
yeah. All right. So, we mentioned in that intro was kind of hard. How many takes was
Yeah, I
that?
lost count, honestly. And we're still working at it, and we're still getting better.
Can't
Uh
call ourselves Denzel Washington.
no, not anytime soon. Unless
Really?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
Andre is saying that he would have kept all of that because it was entertaining.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
yeah. We
Um.
growing, but like we talk all the
Yeah.
time, we need to crawl. We need to go through these. Um, I think one thing that has come from being like when you build a habit, and that could be with anything, like building a skill. Let's say you're learning guitar. You build those calluses, or to in the process of it, and you learn how to deal with pitfalls. You learn how to deal with plateaus. I've been working at this. I'm not getting any better. Critically thinking about how to find new ways to improve. And it's the same thing with working out that I found in my just speaking personally and just how it's worked in my clients' life as well. You'll see people with how they manage not only the workouts, but how they manage other things in their life. And it just becomes a little bit better because or this can be one of the contributing factors to how things can get better because you get better at managing yourself. You start with one and then work your way out. And that's what we're doing with the podcast here. It's gonna take us 20 takes. It took us about 20 takes is modest today, but next week might be 10 or
I'm
5.
confident. I'm confident in us. And
Yeah.
okay, there's a reason why. When it comes to fitness, there's a lot of parallels with fitness and trying to improve on something,
Yeah.
right? When it comes to a lot of people will talk about it. If a lot of people start in fitness and then they become successful entrepreneurs,
Mm.
and that has to do with the fact that it's a grind
Yeah.
and you won't get there overnight, and it takes time to do the monotonous work required to be successful, right? So this is why I'm confident that I think we can create a product that people will be able to relate to, that they will find extreme value in, right? I definitely think that.
Yeah.
Now, talking about the secret sauce,
Yeah. We got to reveal it, man. These guys have been
okay,
waiting the
do you
whole
guys know what it
whole
is?
episode. I mean, we've hinted at it. We've basically been talking about it without saying it. We're just indirectly, but we haven't put it stamp on it. We
Okay.
haven't made our claim. So are you
I,
ready?
I have okay. Before we tell you what it is,
Okay.
I have a list of 9 things that I think might help you.
Hold on, hold on. I just want to say also, um, let us know as well other topics that we can get into, because we want to know as much about how we can be of value. You know, you mentioned just the value stuff, and I wanted to put that out there.
Okay, so
The 9
the secret sauce. Okay,
Yes.
for one, it helps manage blood sugar levels by making your tissues more sensitive to insulin. So we know we have issues with diabetes in our population, and people are pre-diabetic and don't even know about it. So this can help with that. It improves your metabolism by allowing you to eat more, right? In a society where food is in abundance and food is addictive, it's created and engineered to make us want more.
Yeah.
It's
It's not
important
built to make us last. It's not built for sustainability. It has none of that. It's just built for us to want to buy more.
to eat more.
Yeah.
Yeah. It improves your strength and movement capacity. Okay? Improving your strength and movement capacity. That's a big enough hint. Helps to balance hormones. Improves your immune system response to viruses and bacteria.
You know how important that is a couple years ago.
Yes. Decreases your risk of cancer.
Yeah, this is a crazy one. The
Increase
research is
Yeah, the
insane.
research is there.
The research is
Increases your bone density.
huge as you get older as
Of
well.
course,
Huge.
obviously decreasing then your risk of osteoporosis. Osteoporosis is the weakening of your bones as your bone turnover decreases. So your ability to replenish your bone mineral density goes down. It enhances your brain health and decreases. Here's the last one. This is the big kicker. This is why this is the limitless pill.
If none of that was even remotely on your radar, this will
It decreases your all cause mortality risk. That means
you're beat
if
the man up.
if you have more of it, you're basically your risk of dying from anything goes down.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you know what that is? You know
I
what
think
is it,
we've
Cliff?
teased
Tell
them.
them.
I think we've teased
Yeah.
them enough. We're talking about strength training,
Yes.
resistance training. That is the secret sauce, ladies and gentlemen. Um,
And this list goes hand in hand with muscle hypertrophy or your your level of muscularity. So
Yeah.
the more muscle you have, basically, your risk of all cause mortality goes down.
Yeah.
So that's why it's a secret sauce. And I think it's something that is not discussed enough. We focus a lot on obesity
Fat
and
loss and
yeah, we focus on basically losing weight. Everybody's interested in losing weight, but a lot of people don't understand that it's not about the weight on the scale. It's basically about being under muscled.
Yep.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Skinny fat.
They use like ectomorph and these sort of terms to also
I think we should touch on that too because I
Yeah.
think that's helpful for people.
Yeah.
So you have that uncle that has the big gut.
Yeah.
that drinks a lot of beer.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the pregnancy gut,
Yeah.
and he wants you to touch it because it's hard.
Yeah.
So he thinks it's muscle.
Yeah.
But here's the catch: what you're touching is muscle. Where's the
Mm.
fat?
Push jump right underneath.
It's under.
Pushing the
Right.
muscle right on top.
So that's what we
Mm.
call belly fat that is visceral. Visceral meaning fat around the organs, and that's when your risk of heart disease goes up.
Okay. Yeah. So, um, we're kind of the goal of today is to kind of just give you a um, brief little description of how you can get into strength training. Because realistically, if we kind of were tongue in cheek at the beginning of this, and this is the pill, if it was a magic pill, all this sort of stuff. But think about if I were to say all those things that Adam were just listed off, and I could put that on a shelf, it would be the highest seller,
Oh
right?
man, show me the money.
Yeah,
Show me
but
the money.
but because this is now an arduous task that you have to do day in day out, that's where we see the actual application of it go down significantly.
Yeah.
So I'm a beginner, right? And I'm listening to this right now, and I don't know where to start. Do I go right into the gym stuff? Do I start with some body weight? What would you suggest to that beginner listening to this right now?
Yeah, so it depends on where you're starting, I think. I think, do you have an athletic background? Are you someone who shies away from physical activity? Because there's a mental component that has to do with your past experiences. Okay. Um, Taking out the physical aspect of where you are and how ready you are to start, let's talk a little bit about the mental hurdles, because
Love it.
that's a big piece to start
Love
with,
it.
right?
Love it. I was gonna go right into training age, but
No, let's
yeah, let's.
start with the
I love
mental
that.
hurdles, okay?
100%.
Because there were some studies that show that, if I'm just going to put it in simple terms, okay, because I'd have to go back and look at the research, but if you were someone who was ridiculed as a child by your peers because of your lack of physical abilities,
Prowess. Yeah.
yeah, that actually creates, I think they call it like a neuroplasticity, where you will actually have negative emotions when you are involved and engaging in physical activities.
Oh, almost like a trigger response.
Exactly.
So like
Yes.
somebody who gets like
Trauma.
there's memory.
Yeah, traumatic.
Yeah. So there's
You're
like
talking
similar.
like PTSD or something like that.
Yeah.
Kind of along the
Gym
lines of
class
that.
PTSD.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Uh,
Some of those
so
classes
you
were
laugh,
rough.
but
No, no, no.
my mom, okay, my mom will tell you, she's like, I've never sweat a day in my life.
Wow.
Yeah, she would skip every gym
Just went
class.
through labor.
She would
Just
skip every.
no sweat. No sweat whatsoever.
Well, it's not that I mean, she
Nah, I'm
does
playing.
stuff around the house, and
Yeah.
she cooks in the kitchen and whatever, but she just doesn't like physical activity.
Yeah.
And she um she had what we call femoral anteversion, which is basically pigeon toes, right? Where, when your toes point inward.
Right.
So she would run and then trip, and then the kids would laugh at her.
Oh, wow.
And for the longest time, I've been trying to get her to exercise. And I didn't understand this until I came across this research. And I understand now, like, you give her exercises and she literally could get depressed because of it.
Yeah.
So, okay, we need to understand then, what are your past experiences? What emotions are you tying to movement? And how can we somehow change that perception of movement?
So let's come up with maybe two strategies for each segment that we go through. I think we're gonna start with the mental component,
Mhm.
and then you let me know if you want to change up the order here. But we're gonna
Okay.
start with mental component, give 2 strategies. Then we're gonna go into how your training age can help dictate, because a 60-year-old man that's getting into health and fitness is going to be a lot different than, say, 16-year-old. And then also sex, girl or female, not as big a determining factor. But we'll touch on maybe how that might
Gender
different,
differences.
yeah,
Yeah.
change. Um, and then hurdles that you might experience along the journey.
Okay. Yeah,
Like
that's
a
great.
nice little outline there.
Okay. So,
Okay.
um,
So strategy
okay.
for
So
her.
let's say you're a person like my mom.
Yeah, I think it's a great to the people who feel that or maybe went through
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
like that.
I would say, depending on how much activity you're getting, choose something that you are comfortable doing.
Yep.
And I like something as simple as walking.
Beautiful. Guys, walking is the most underrated exercise, especially if you're not doing anything.
Exactly. Yeah,
You know,
starting from
don't
the
think
from
that
ground zero.
yeah, don't think that it's got to be um oh, I got to get some dumbbells at it. No. Let's keep it very very simple. Get up every single day, and park the car a little bit farther away from work. You know
That's
what I
it.
mean?
Yeah.
It's easy. Take the stairs instead of the elevator. If you have a commute, um, maybe taking I don't know how viable this is for some people, but if there's like a bus or something you can take in between, that one's a little bit more. If you already have the car. But there are a bunch of different ways. The point is that there's a bunch of different ways where you can increase your time on your feet, and what you can notice from that is if you've been on your feet for an extended period of time, it's even work just to stand. If I were to tell someone put an hour clock on and have you stand in one place for a long time, you know, these are all things because we're dealing and resisting gravity. So walking,
Yeah.
something you're
I see a
comfortable.
lot of people in my practice that are exactly like my mom, and they tell you right off the bat, like, I don't really enjoy doing exercise. So that concept of agency, uh, it's always like, I don't have the time for it.
Mhm,
I mean, not everybody is laying down in bed all day.
mhm,
So you're going from a chair to a standing position.
mhm,
You're going upstairs potentially, right?
mhm.
So why can't you, even if you're standing at the kitchen sink doing dishes, there are exercises you can do if you just remember. So an example would be, so you're sitting around doing your work and it's time to get up to go to the washroom. Okay, why not do sit to stands,
Mhm.
right? Stand up, sit back down, stand up, sit back down, do some repetitions, and then go to the bathroom. That's a good example.
Mhm. And if you're a little bit more, because we're talking about people that may be shy or aren't really the biggest fans of movement in the first place, think of whatever time you're getting up, 15 minutes, up 15 minutes earlier to do those sorts of things. So you're getting in those reps. So let's say you take on average 5 different breaks and you were to do sit stands for 5 different times, you do 10 repetitions of that. If you just did your 50 in the beginning of the day or 5 sets of those 10s at the beginning, then you've already got that movement.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
it's so easy to progress a sit to stand,
Yeah.
right? So you go from sitting down to standing up. Then once that becomes easy and you can do more repetitions,
Take
slow the movement down,
nice.
right?
Mhm.
Go a bit slower, even get to the point where you're just touching the
There's
chair, right? And then standing back up,
mhm.
touching your butt down on the chair, standing back up, then hovering right above the chair. All of those progressions actually mean that you are improving the quality of your muscle, the quality of the recruitment pattern of your muscles. So the timing of recruitment
Mhm.
from your nervous system,
So you will need less rest to do the exact same thing, if not more, than what you did the week
or
before.
just the quality of your movements improve.
Yeah,
All of that requires uh,
those systems to be
exactly.
firing at the same.
So you're getting you're having improvements with that.
Mhm.
Okay. Another example could be you're standing at the kitchen sink. You can easily do heel raises. So you just go up on your toes, come back down. Go up on your toes, come back down. Okay.
And there's a bunch of other different ones. So it's it's the main thing is starting off with something that you can sustainably do day in, day out. Starting there, build that habit of, okay, I'm taking time for my health. Whether that's collectively 30 minutes or an hour or even 10 minutes, whatever it is, it's better than the zero mark.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Everything is a progression. Everything is improvement.
Yeah. So,
And I
with
think with your in terms of the person who has some mental hurdles in the beginning, connecting these activities and these behaviors with some positive feedback. So, thinking about how your body feels
Mhm.
after doing a few weeks of more movement. Yeah, okay, you're going to be sore in the beginning, but eventually, how quick can you get up from the chair?
Yeah.
Right? You're not making those grunting noises every time you go to
Yeah.
get up.
Yeah. You're not
These
hearing the
little
knees,
things,
the knee
right?
crackling is going away as well as you kind of get to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, trying to swap the negative emotions with some more positive
Yeah.
emotions, I think should help.
Yeah.
And also thinking about, for instance, if you have grandkids, right? How much easier it is and enjoyable it is to be around them when you're more mobile.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
connecting those positive things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're say someone that is a little bit younger and you're already starting to see these sort of things come up, even more reason to think about if I'm in and around um middle age and I'm already experiencing and I'm feeling like my dad does or my grandfather or whatever, and I'm exhibiting these things and I'm 20 years their junior, then let that be another incentive for you and rewiring that to be like, okay, this is a now positive thing that I'm flipping to be, rather than to be like damn, how did I let it get to this place? And because self-talk when you're not in a position that you want to be is crucial, so given that sort of rewarding. Andrew Huberman talks about this with growth mindset,
Mm.
but rewarding the effort that it took for you to get to a place. So if you are,
That's big. That's
yeah.
huge.
So if you're doing a week of movement, and let's say you aimed for 7 days, right? And you only did two, rather than kick yourself in the pants for the 5 days that you didn't go or that you didn't do your 30-minute walk, big yourself up for those 2 days that you did, and then just aim to do three. And you're
Exactly.
just trying to beat your previous score,
That's it. Yeah.
And then what you'll find is the better you get at that, the better your self talk gets, the better you get your rewarding system on a week to week basis. And the same thing, like Adam's talking about, that progression is also a progressive mindset as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the next
So
one you were talking about.
so we touched on a little bit the training age,
Okay.
because
Yeah.
how we're going to, so now we've got someone in the right mental state. They've done maybe 3 months. Okay, maybe 3 months of that. They say that they've done 21 days where they've accumulatively got to a point where they've done their sit and what do you
Sit
call
to
it?
stand.
Sit to
Sit to
stands.
stands.
They've done their sit to stands. They're down there. They don't even need the chair anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
Let me just throw out a couple other exercises because I
Yeah,
feel like
go
it's
for it.
important to.
We can also put it in a link or something for
Yeah,
people
we should
to,
definitely do
yeah.
that. And
But
I think
go
we
for it.
can maybe throw up some videos too.
Yeah, give some references or something.
Yeah,
That's
I
good.
think okay, simple body weight exercises in ways that you would normally function throughout the day is important. So something like leaning up against a wall or like a sturdy table and doing some push-ups. So you're not completely horizontal, you're more on an angle.
Mhm,
So you take some of the weight off of the movement,
mhm,
just so that you're working a push movement as
mhm.
well. That's a good one.
Yeah,
So wall push-ups or incline push-ups, right? Then working towards gradually coming down into
lower.
maybe a kneeling push-up, a kneeling and raised push-up.
Some Y raises, T raises for some back. some back
Yeah,
work.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. From a standing position, you could just
You could even think of planking.
yeah.
Planking could be a good option just to engage some of those core muscles, right? There's some exercises that you mentioned, like dead bug. You're basically on your back.
I'm trying to stay away from if you had to get on a mat, like
Okay.
things that you
Yeah.
could probably do in the office. But that's kind of where I'm at with it. Um, because the type of person we're describing right now, I don't even think wants to buy a mat or sees no benefit in it. So these are little things that the kind of the timeline is that you do these things and you're starting to realize your sleep is getting a little bit better. You're not as stressed in the morning traffic. You're not cussing everybody out. You have a little bit more patience with that, and you can maybe start to extrapolate that. Hey, the 14 days that I've been doing these things consistently, I haven't been as irritable. I have been more present when I'm with my wife or my husband. And you know what? I'm ready to now take it to the next step where I'm going to invest in a mat. These are people that haven't seen the value yet.
Exactly.
So we've established that okay, there's a trigger point maybe. Okay, we're just gonna get you to move with your body. Now that we've got you feeling that way, we're gonna now progress it forward into like some body weight
It's beautiful.
and that stuff.
It's exactly, I think, the right progression.
Mm.
To take that same person who's begrudgingly having to, pay for a gym membership
Yeah,
and then go to the gym where you're surrounded by people who love fitness.
or that are in the same place as you, but majority of people who go are
Yeah, it
like
gets, I think it's too much of a hurdle to jump over
yeah,
in that.
very big leap.
Exactly.
Yeah, and just so you know, gyms love you guys. The people that begrudgingly buy memberships because your doctor told you
Yeah,
to
because you
or
don't show up.
because you don't show up, but your money is green and it collects at the end of the month anyways.
Exactly.
So to save yourself that time, and the biggest thing is understanding that it's gonna take a time. But if you can get yourself in that either through working with someone to help with that accountability or having that sort of self efficacy for yourself,
Yes.
you're going to save yourself a lot of money and then feel better so that when you are ready to maybe ramp things up and increase frequency, intensity, these sorts of things, right? You'll actually benefit more because you're going to be in a much better place to actually maximize that
Yeah.
opportunity.
I think at that point, taking that same person, if you have the resources, hiring a professional, I think is very important.
Mm.
At that point, when you're now at the place where, maybe you did buy some home equipment
Mm.
and you're not ready to go to the gym, some trainers are willing to come to your house,
Yeah,
right? Just to show you the right technique so you're not and then also setting up your program so that you're not overworked.
100%.
Because if you overtrain one day,
You're gonna be
you
like,
do a
forget
little too
this.
much. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
not gonna like how
yeah,
it feels.
yeah.
If you
Especially if you're not used to it.
exactly,
Yeah.
if you were an athlete in the past, the
We're
hell
not
we
we're not talking to you.
no, yeah, exactly,
This is you've probably already been in a gym for a little bit, and if anything, you're more on the how do I optimize my gains or how do I get the most bang for my buck. We're gonna have some more. We're gonna have some different conversations pertaining to how we can add some value for you. But
I have an idea.
yeah,
Let's set up a beginners program. Well, yeah, we'll do up a
okay,
program for all you folks who have not yet experienced what it's like to do a strength workout. Um, we'll set something up that's maybe like 3 months long,
love that.
and we'll send it out for free.
Yeah, yeah,
If if they and here's the thing, the first 50 people to join our Facebook private forum
yeah,
will get the free program. And let's say you're not a beginner, you have this program now to give to those loved ones
yeah.
that you feel should be starting this journey.
Think about that. the 10% of people who are optimizing their health, meaning that there's 90% of those other people that could benefit from something like
Exactly.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, we'll do that for you
Yeah.
guys just because.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that.
Okay. So now
And
this
then
person,
intermediate to advanced, we'll get you guys. You guys.
yeah.
Yeah. We got some stuff for you as well.
Okay. Okay. So we have that person now. Training age. Okay.
Yes.
Let's talk about this. What does that?
So
What does it? What does that even mean?
so training age, we're looking at our time and experience with movement and exercise. So someone that maybe had those trigger points, was ridiculed, any sort of um, pertain to any sort of athletic performance. Um, let's say they start in the gym in their 20s, you know, never played any sports, anything like that. That
So
person is
no previous experience training. This is zero.
zero.
So zero years of training.
Yeah. Whereas opposed to say someone who's been in a sport, was very active in gym class or anything, that person isn't necessarily at ground zero, even though they haven't been in the gym per se. Their training age is going to be a little bit higher.
I would say if they've done strength training.
Strength, yeah, they're probably their those benefits are going to translate to their strength training. But their training age would probably still be zero.
Yeah.
But they would fare better than say the person who had none of those transferable skills from playing sports or
Yeah. Or just the feeling
yeah.
of the effects of training, because at the end of the
That's a
day,
great point.
training
That's the
is a
bigger,
stress to your
yeah,
body,
yeah,
and really that stress is going to elicit an adaptation,
yeah.
but the adaptation has to occur with recovery as well.
Two major keys to take away. Stress is a response to tension or time under tension with resistance, right? So it is not something to fear, and also same thing with pain. It is also just a site of say inflammation or aggravation at a certain joint or area that is telling us that something is going on at this place.
Well,
So
pain is very difficult to understand. Like we could,
yeah,
like I said, we could talk hours about pain
yeah, yeah, yeah.
because there's different types of pain, right?
Yes. But
Um,
I'm just kind of get to the point of
what that type of pain is? What muscle
from working.
soreness?
Yes,
Muscle soreness.
muscle soreness. I guess that's a better way to put it, because pain, I guess,
Yeah.
gets people the response of like, oh, I'm
Okay.
gonna shy away
Okay.
from this.
Let's simplify this.
Yeah.
Okay. Training is tension on a muscle. Okay, which creates a stress response. Okay, that stress response then leads to inflammation and an immune response, which then leads to
Muscle adaptation
muscle adaptation if proper recovery is had.
Mm.
Okay.
And then we can also talk about protein synthesis and how that
Yeah, that
yeah.
comes. That's a part of the adaptation
Yes, yeah.
process. Okay.
Um,
So though that's a 0 years training age.
yeah.
Now, if you've been in the gym
Mhm.
for
Say you
one,
took it in high school, started at age 16, had a break, came back. That 2 years that you might have had until, let's say, you stopped right before you went to college, you still have those. You're not a complete novice. Hoping that you got the right habits, that you didn't.
you're like the beginning of intermediate
Yeah,
at that point.
and but also depending on how you were taught is huge too.
Of course,
Because
and how you were doing it.
yeah, because
Right.
you can have training age is not a determining factor of of skill as well too, because people can be doing the same, like the wrong thing for a long time, and it's until they're in, or they get a different mode of advice, like, oh, every time, like I've talked to guys where it's like, oh, only squat in the Smith machine because my lower back is always kicking in, so they've created exercises for themselves where they're only getting through their symptoms and not solving them. So, but they've been training for 10, 15 years this way. You know what
I
I
see
mean?
what you're saying. They have limitations, and instead of trying to correct and do the things that are difficult,
Yeah.
they're taking the road of comfort,
Yeah.
knowing that they're still working out. So yeah, they're still doing their
Yeah.
thing, but at the end of the day,
It's
they could be a lot further on.
yeah.
Okay.
And that's where ego, and you see with a lot of guys specifically, if I'm calling it, I've also been there, where it's like you've been doing something for so long and you've made an idea. I've seen some level of progress with this, and maybe it's been stagnant for a little while, but I've seen success with this, so I'm going to continue to do this. It's important with anything to remember that new information or seeing things from a different perspective or angle is always going to be beneficial in helping you continue to see continual success.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Novelty is key at the end
Yeah.
of the day.
Yeah.
So changing things up every month to 2 months
Mhm.
actually will allow you to keep making gains,
Overcoming those
stay on
plateaus.
that gain train,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, I like that. Gain train?
You never heard that before?
No, never heard that. Very nice.
I guess I'm more of a meathead than you. Okay, but
Yeah.
okay, let's get back to this. So
So yeah, so
so we
training
have
age.
novice, right, which is 0 to 1 years.
Mm.
Okay. Intermediate, which is
That's
1 or 2 years to 3 years, maybe.
yeah.
Yeah. And then I think advanced is like 3 plus or
I don't know if
four
we should
plus.
quantify it like that because you can also be in an intermediate phase like for a long time if you're not getting the right guidance, if you're not following the right principles,
Ah, I
if
see.
you
I see what you're saying.
you know what I mean. So it's
Yes.
like like if we were to work out with um oh my god, the guy, he passed away recently, but he was such a wealth of knowledge. He also did some of those YouTube videos, the Asian guy. He had like long hair. Eugene, was it Eugene?
Eugene Tao?
Eugene Tao. But
Teal?
his mentor.
Oh, his
Mentor.
mentor.
No. He's
Okay. I thought Eugene died.
no,
It's like, what?
no. His mentor. It was and just the
I know who you're talking about.
he had huge legs, man. Like but like you could just tell like he eats, slept, and
I
breathed.
think we have to get Andre to look that up.
Yeah. But the point I was trying to make is one session with that guy, you realize how much further these things can go. So,
I see what you mean with the
yeah,
experience,
the attention to detail as well.
trying multiple different
Yeah,
means of
yeah.
training,
I
different
think
ways.
I think I'm like think about it for us. Like I've been training, doing weightlifting since I was 14. I've been playing sports since I was 7, and I think I'm just getting to an advanced level with my training as of this year.
That's fair. That's
You know what
fair.
I mean? So, I mean, it's kind of like picking apples and oranges at this point. It's whatever. But I do think there's a little bit of an overestimation of people's skill, myself included, when you're looking at how technical it can get.
Mhm.
When you're thinking about advanced lifting.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I went through my master's of science in physical therapy, and um, I learned a lot about the nuances of biomechanics, poor movement patterns, neurological conditions that will present in certain ways. When you actually can appreciate what quote unquote normal movement is
Mhm.
and then understand abnormal movement, there is a lot to understand about the body.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'll be completely honest, there was a period of time where I stopped really training in the gym.
Mm.
It was a lot of focus on just looking at other people move and not really caring so much about my physical abilities.
Your priorities
Yeah,
shifted.
so I lost touch for a bit.
Yeah. You were also building a lot of things at that time, and
Right.
I think it's important to speak on that because It's a natural thing with life.
Of course, that is. But, I got back in touch with my first love, which was changing my body,
Mm.
trying to build strength and
Yeah,
adaptations,
nothing better.
strength adaptations. And, there was a 5-year period basically where it was almost like I was reinventing and relearning
Yeah,
all of these things,
all these
experiencing it
principles.
within
Yeah,
my body
yeah,
and tuning into different gurus of strength and, looking back at the history of strength training, which is really interesting,
yeah,
like the Bronze Era bodybuilding,
yeah.
what they did, and
That's like the different dumbbell they were using then times, right? It's like
well, they did a whole
I
like so
don't even.
many different.
Yeah,
Okay, I'll give you an example. To do an overhead press, like a military press, they had to lift the bar from the floor
yeah,
and get it to their chest to then press it overhead, do their sets or their reps to fatigue,
mm,
and then bring it back down. And a
so
lot
not.
of these weights were like either cast iron or like cement.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't even know what it was, but
I think I've seen images of these like from that era and just being like, what a bizarre looking,
yeah.
yeah,
And
thing.
they did even things like offset presses where there was weight on one end of the bar and not on the other end.
Yeah,
Like crazy,
yeah, yeah,
crazy feats. And these bodybuilders actually had feats of strength
yeah,
that they had to like it wasn't just how you look.
yeah. And that can be another thing in itself. I know we've been saying that a lot today, but when we are excited to get into all these different topics, but education on the like what is your goal? Because if your goal is to get strong, mass moves mass, right? But you might not necessarily be the most aesthetic if your goal is just purely strength,
Yeah.
right? And having people understand that, the guy on Instagram that looks like he can lift the world might not actually be that strong. And what are those things? Because those Bronze Era guys, I would probably attest to say that they're a lot stronger than the people that we might think aren't, that look visibly, because we have so much advancements in nutrition, taking into account PEDs, performance enhancing drugs, things to help enhance
They
recovery.
had none of that.
And they had none of it. So I think
But what they did have, actually, which is interesting, is
Mhm. I'm getting excited talking about this right now.
so so there was when you actually look into it, there are some guys from like the 1800s that wrote like memoirs, and
Oh wow.
they're talking about like how they came back from like war or whatever, and they're talking to their parents about how look how their body looks and how it's changed, and they had different rules like making sure that you go to sleep when the sun goes down, making sure that you have this amount of meat and dairy, and so they had
They
like
were
this information
they
was
were
there
podcasting before podcasts, basically.
basically.
They were
Yeah.
just putting it on like pigeon letters or whatever, you know what I mean?
Whatever
Like
it
with some
was, yeah,
some ink,
yeah.
But yeah,
That's so to me that was interesting, but that's a tangent. But
yeah.
really, what I'm trying to get at is, so I graduated from kinesiology, where I learned
Mm,
exercise physiology,
yeah,
advanced exercise physiology, where a lot of that information that I learned back then, when I graduated in '09, a lot of that has
yeah,
actually changed
yeah,
because the
yeah,
science has come a long way.
yeah.
And then fast forward, I do my master's in physio,
Mm,
and I'm learning about movement and all this stuff. But then I still had so much to learn in those 5
100%.
years of experiencing it myself.
Yeah. Because it's different. Like we talk about all the time. It's personal training is making personalized program to the unique individual. You cannot carbon copy and paste things over to you can at a certain stage because newbie gains is a certain thing, but the more advanced you're getting or the more particular you are getting with your goals, like I want to gain 20 pounds of muscle, that's a very different goal than I just want to be a little bit, I want
But
to lose a
that's a
little bit of,
goal.
you
That's a
know
goal that I think everybody should have.
Yeah. And after watching us over and over, you'll get that. Like we're gonna be hitting that nail on the head.
People are probably thinking right now, like 20 pounds of muscle. Like,
Yeah.
okay, 20 pounds is a lot, but strive for even 5 pounds.
Yeah, it's insane.
That will change your life.
Yeah.
And it may, okay, yes, obviously having the muscle there, if I snap my fingers
Mhm.
and someone puts on 5 pounds of muscle, there will be.
I would love that. What program is that? Please send that my way. What an amazing
That's
feature.
the Genie program.
That's the Genie program?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. You need a Genie for that.
Okay,
So,
I'll hit up Aladdin and see what he's saying.
so think about it. If I snap my fingers, you get 5 pounds of muscle. There's physiological benefit to that.
Mm,
But the secret sauce is really in the journey,
yeah.
right? Like what it
The
takes
steps.
to build that,
Yeah.
right? Because those are habits and behaviors that are going to stay with you for the rest of your life.
100%.
Take for instance, the athlete coming from a rough upbringing
Mhm,
has his crew of dudes, call it LeBron or whoever,
mhm. He's
okay,
got his Rich Pauls and his his team.
whatever,
Yeah.
has his team. He makes, you know, $5 million in the first 2 years or whatever, then gets injured.
Mm.
What happens with that $5 million?
Starts
If they
doing-
don't have someone managing those finances, most times it's like someone who wins a lottery.
Oof.
Right?
One of the most terrible things you can do statistically
Yeah.
for your life.
And then they lose all that money.
But then I think I think the statistics are pretty alarming. Like within like the first 2 years, it's
Exactly.
insane. And then like fallouts with family,
All that.
getting into even larger debts because the goal is not like you're saying. The goal is not the result.
No.
I know we think that it is, and we're gonna be doing some challenges to kind of showcase these things. Like this is what it looks like to be at 5% body fat year round, or not year round, but this is what it looks like, and this is what it's gonna take. You know, or 10%. Sorry.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You don't have disciplined mind, you know, fall into the same habits and
Yeah.
right again.
Right back.
That's facts right there.
So if your issue is to even bring it back to the guy in the squat that's doing the Smith machine thing, it's like yes, this is better than not doing anything. But you will never get past this point. You will continue to be at this stage um theoretically for the rest of your life if nothing changes. But if you get to the actual root cause of what is limiting you, same thing with money, the root cause if you have a problem with debt, you know, how to save, how to budget, how to decide what to buy. If your issue is in terms of a squat, why your lower back is kicking in, why is that happening? What's happening in my feet? Um Am I engaging? What muscles am I engaging? What muscles do I need to work on? What's weak? What's strong? These are the sort of they're difficult questions to ask, and it might take you a month. You might not have you're not going to be able to squat for maybe 3 months, 6 months, a year.
But you reverse engineer it.
But you're reverse engineering, and you will be able to move like you never could imagine. You literally like it's beyond reps.
But let me round out my point there.
Yes.
Okay. If you snap your fingers and you have the end result that you're looking for, give it a month and it's gone. Because the secret sauce is learning the discipline and learning what it takes to achieve that end result. And then once you get to that end result, you're going to be like, okay, what's next? Okay, I'm ready. Like I'm ready to move on now.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what I think we should, I'm not going to say should, but what we want to do to help people.
Yeah.
We want to help people understand what it feels like to develop these habits and what it's going to do to change your life. And I really truly believe that, and I'm not talking about the people out there that are just chasing aesthetics and don't care about anything else, but I'm talking about the general population. If we were healthier and we had these habits and disciplines, I think our society would be a lot better.
Yeah. Yeah. Ideal world. We're trying to create that, you know? We're trying to create that and what that can look like for
Then
our
we want to add to
future.
that
Yeah.
voice.
Yeah.
Right?
that ongoing push. So, how does it look different depending on my training age?
Okay.
Because
Um,
we're kind of dragging on here.
all right.
Let's give the people some actionable steps here.
Mhm.
What is something, say someone who's done the walking, has gotten over the mental hurdle now and is now ready to maybe get a membership, or is still on the fence? Are they should they start with body weight exercise? Should they start at home, or should they just go right into the gym at that point?
I think there's limitations with just having having no equipment or just a few pieces of equipment at home. And there's limitations based on the environment because, the fridge is there, the the
Yeah,
bed is there,
100%.
right? The TV is there, the
All of
laptop,
these things that are
all
so
these
much, yeah.
distractions, right? Um, so unless you've already developed the discipline and the habits, I think it's ideal, in my opinion, to have a gym membership.
Yeah.
And you can start with just a simple, $10 a month
Yeah.
Planet Fitness or
We don't
whatever.
discriminate against those
No,
facilities. They're great. They got all the equipment you need.
except having some skin in the game is sometimes more motivational, right?
Mm.
Because if you're spending $80 a month on a gym membership,
Yeah.
but you've already established that you understand that it's going to be some sacrifice, then I think that's a better option because you have a wider range of equipment to utilize, and you may have some people in the gym that may help you out. And don't be afraid to ask the big buffed guy
Yeah.
for some advice because
He's usually waiting for it.
yeah,
He loves it.
they're usually if they are advanced,
They can't wait to share that.
exactly.
They're not very rarely have I ever talked to someone that was at that size. As long as you're not going up to a mid set on no modness. Same thing like if you're chatting up gal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, as long as you're not being disrespectful. Obviously if someone's in the middle of their set, or they look like they're in a pretty intense thing, because time is a big thing as well.
Mhm.
I think getting in and out, how hey, I've been coming to this gym now for a month, week, and I'm admiring your physique. I obviously worked hard. Are there any sort of basic tips I've been and come prepared, like a job interview? You know what I mean? If you've already done some of the homework, the person that's hiring is going to be much more inclined to help you. If you're on the side of a road and you're just sitting in the car, and your tires blown, or your car stopped working, a lot less likely for someone to try to help you. Whereas if you just start getting out on the side and start pushing, be like, damn, look at the effort that this person is putting in. Let me help this person. So same thing if you're asking the buff dude.
Exactly. So I in my opinion, getting to a gym, finding a trainer that has experience, that is willing to at least show you how to use some of the equipment.
Mhm.
YouTube is a great option too, right? Because there are some
Some great
great
podcasts out
podcasts
there.
or
Some handsome
influencers.
Caribbean men that are they're giving out good information.
Yeah, exactly. So, um,
Or so
yeah.
I've heard.
So we've
Heard.
heard,
Yeah.
yeah. Beyond sets and reps,
Yeah.
beyond
Yeah.
reps
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
sets.
Yeah. Something. Great name.
Um, yeah. So I think getting to the gym, doing that, I think that's
Mhm.
great.
Yeah.
I think it's probably important to have some type of programming set up there as well,
Yeah.
because going to the gym with a plan is important.
Yeah.
If you've got goals,
Mhm.
make your goals very specific.
Mhm.
Okay, like if your goal is to lose weight, that's okay, but I don't think that's specific enough. That's pretty crude.
Mhm.
Okay, like what
It
does
is
weight mean?
yeah, I was
Water
about to
weight,
say,
bone weight?
it is a measurable thing, but the quality of the measurement that you're getting back and what that means for actual progress can be misleading. And I think that's what we gotta look at. But we're speaking to you at the level that you're at right now, and we're going to advance you forward and talk into a little bit deeper as to why that is. Maybe we can talk about weight and muscle building in episode, maybe the next following episode. But as of for right now, if finances are tight and you're just in a commercial gym, whether you got a lot of skin in the game or not, create whatever plan. Write down, I'm gonna do this amount of push-ups. I'm gonna do this amount of, even at a bit. You take a root thing. There's a lot of stuff on YouTube. We're gonna also be putting out our beginner program. Um, get a baseline of where you're starting. Take pictures early. Oh my God, there's nothing better than seeing the progression from week to week. And sometimes we are our toughest critics, but pictures don't lie. We know the scale lies sometimes, but scale can be another thing, even if it's just to give you that sense. I'm 1 pound down. Um, these are other things that are going to help you as you're going along, and then follow it, and then test it in a month. Have you changed? Okay, how do I feel? Do I feel better? Am I getting stronger? You know what? I did 10 more push-ups this week than I did last week. Okay, I think I'm doing something right here. You'd be able to accelerate that and push forward, and there's benefits from getting accountability through coaching and stuff like that. But given the level where you're at, the beginner, that is more than enough for you to get that information, test and measure. If something isn't working, vice versa, maybe you can do a little bit more intensity. Maybe your training is going a little bit too much every single day. Maybe take a rest day in between. I would probably say if you're beginning off, start with 3 days a week. Anything above that is probably going to be too much on your system
Even
and your
I would
schedule.
even start once a week.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I'm
Okay,
not. I'm not
there's
opposed
pros
to
and
that.
cons to the different frequencies,
Yeah.
but you have to modulate
Mhm.
and undulate your intensity and volume of work. Okay,
Let's meet in the middle. I'd say anywhere from 1 to 3. No higher than 3. 3 would be my max if your training age is 0 to 1.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I would go with something that is well rounded, like full body.
Yep.
And I think that's what our beginner program would look like. Um,
Yeah.
one thing I want to make note of, like I think this is really important too, is people they want to do cardio, they want to do strength work, then they want to add in a yoga class, but then they want to work on their diet,
Yeah.
and sometimes too much at once is not good.
Yeah.
I think what we need to do is focus on one thing, build that habit, work that into your routine, and then we add and we stack those habits slowly, right?
I like to use and I'm gonna use an analogy here.
Ooh,
I'll
okay.
put on
Let
my
me hear that.
Adam. You think of it as you're adding. We have a belt, and you're adding things to your tool belt,
Mm.
right? So if we're constantly trying to fill a bunch of pockets and we're not paying attention to what's going on, things might fall out, things might not be secure, right? We want to make sure that whatever tool we're adding, we're sure that that's going to be something we can depend on and have.
Okay, what's the first tool?
First tool is the habit of showing up.
Mm.
So for me,
Just put your shoes on.
yeah.
Start with your shoes.
All right, you put on your shoes, step outside.
All right, that's good enough.
All right, back to bed. Yeah, no, but in a sense, yeah, like if it's that depends how serious the triggers are for you.
Yeah, yeah,
Depends
yeah.
how big of a hurdle it is for you to even get out of bed.
Yeah.
How crippling. Like if you're someone that's depressed and experiencing crippling anxiety and depression, maybe even putting on your shoes is that big a
Maybe
thing
even
for you.
driving to the parking lot
Yeah,
at first and looking at the gym and driving home,
yeah,
knowing that you're going to have to step inside next time,
100%.
and then maybe getting into the gym and just hopping on the treadmill and just walking, getting used to the environment,
These
right?
these are all great things. So anything, you can't optimize what you're not doing. So if you're not doing anything currently, thinking about my elbow should be in this position to maximize flexion,
No, that's nonsense. Yeah,
like
yeah.
you know what I mean?
There's
Like
no
you're
point at
just
that.
there's no the term I want to use is the quality of of how that's gonna apply to increased returns is going to be very low. The thing that's going to be giving you the most bang for you in that instance is actually showing up. Once you've established that you can show up for yourself and you can show up for yourself consistently. So we're talking about discipline over motivation. Talk about that a lot. That's when we can start to look at, okay, um, on the days where you're in here now, maybe let's add a cardio, and this is probably even after 3 months of doing it, a month, 2 months. I wouldn't say, I don't, yeah, especially if you've never trained. You get more chance of variety the higher your training experience because you can recover. You know how to recover. You understand how much sleep you need. You've had to deal with different components of training. We haven't touched on nutrition yet.
No.
You know what I mean? Which is another big thing.
I have clients who had zero experience, fearful, but they just jumped in and they just went through the motions and they experienced the experience and they've been able to build momentum and ride that wave, right?
Personality types come into
Into play, yeah.
So you're the same thing with investments. Like, how adverse are you to risk? If you're someone who has a bigger threshold for risk, then maybe jumping into it might be the thing for you. That's how you got into piano. You got into singing.
Yeah,
because one day you just woke up and you're like, I want to sing.
Yeah, you'll know your personality best.
Yeah.
So so let's recap that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have so first off, you need to start moving.
Start moving.
Okay.
Establish the mental first.
Right.
So where we're at in terms of, do we have any triggers? Why is it that I'm not doing this in the first place? Kind of answering those questions. Either it is something that's a big hurdle for you, or it's just never done it before.
Yeah. So making that commitment, first of all, then deciding to work out at home or go to a gym. If you're leaning towards working out at home, then you got to figure out why you don't want to go to a gym. And once you figure that out, then you can kind of navigate and work on that. Yep. Because I do think going to the gym is going to be
a lot
the best thing.
Just because, for no other reason than the things that Adam outlined, you're getting into a new environment. It's a lot easier for you to maintain. We're talking to someone that doesn't have the discipline. When you have the discipline, you could do it practically anywhere. But we're building that. Yeah. We're not talking about you at the end of the journey. We're talking at you at where you are right now. So you need to get outside of that comfort zone. And one of the ways to do that is a new environment.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then, so once you've established that you can show up for yourself, now we're getting a little bit more detailed into the type of programming, maybe introducing a coach, depending on budget and financial situation, resources. And then now you're building the new stage of that. That's the next level now.
Yeah. Okay. And then you have hurdles along the way. But those hurdles are typically have to do with what's going on in your life outside of that. Yeah. And we will have a default behavior usually when in times of stress, overwhelm, too many things are going on. Usually we have a default setting, which could be, I'm just going to sit on the couch and watch Netflix. Mm-hmm. Or I'm feeling down, so I need to stop at Burger King and get a burger or something.
Yeah.
Right. So trying to change that default to doing something that's actually going to benefit you physically, which will in turn benefit you mentally.
Yeah.
Right?
So when you are feeling that way, that's the time where you go for a walk. You know what I mean? When you are feeling that way, that's the time where you call that friend, or
or maybe you just show up at the gym. You grab one of the mats and you do some stretching, some mobility work, and you've shown up. You've actually made the effort to go to the gym, and the following day you may feel a lot better, and you may want to actually get into that workout.
Yeah.
Right.
It's very crucial when you are feeling that, whatever that thing looks like for you, that you're being very intentional about that action. You know, whether that is um, doing those stretches for that day, or reaching out to that person, um, friend, family member, to assist you. You know. So yeah. We didn't. Is that did we miss anything?
No, I think we touched on enough, because I think in this segment we're talking to the person who's never done it before
Yeah.
and where to start. And the answer is pretty simple.
Mhm.
You got to start slow, start small, and build momentum.
Yeah.
But I think getting some advice on the nuances is important.
Mhm.
Getting an assessment of your functional capacity,
Current strength.
speaking to your doctor regarding your heart health, see where that's at, because you don't want to be doing something if you're at risk of a potential
great-
heart attack,
That's a
right?
great point.
So those basics need to be ironed out.
And that isn't indicative of training age. You can have a 60-year-old with a healthy, functioning heart, and then a 16-year-old with um possibility of heart attack, or
Yeah.
so it is something where you do have to get that information. It is not just, I'm at this age, I should be getting this checked.
Yeah.
We should all be getting those things checked frequently.
I think we should get into the 1 minute debate.
Yeah. Let's get into the partial versus the
Okay, so this is the
full.
statement, okay? It is best as a beginner to start strengthening your body through a full range of motion while performing compound lifts.
Agree or disagree?
Or disagree. Okay, so compound lifts, let's just set the stage here.
So we got
Oh.
our squats.
Let's just explain what a compound lift is first. Okay,
Okay.
a compound lift, it requires multiple joints moving at the same time. Therefore, you have a synergy of muscles that are working on every joint.
These have big implications to functional movement. So
Yeah.
movements that you're going to be doing on a day to day. So think about getting out of the car. Think about carrying groceries. Um, walking up the steps. Anything where you're taking something above head. So putting a box into an attic or anything of that nature. Yeah.
So I think we should narrow it down to the squat movement. Okay, so
Okay.
partial or full range of motion squats for a beginner.
I think we should keep it to everything.
To everything?
Everything.
Okay, I guess we can apply it to everything.
Yeah.
But like, I'm going to use the example.
Yeah, you can.
Of a
I have
squat.
some examples as well. So I am pro full range of motion today.
Okay. And I'm going to be pro partial range.
Yes. So, are we starting? Are we
We're
starting
going to start a
clock?
timer.
Yeah, let's start a clock.
I think Andre has the timer there. Okay.
Hold on.
So you're going to say your piece first, Cliff?
Okay.
We like to see what what other people can say about this.
Okay. We're gonna eventually dim the lights. Everything would be really cool. Like, just have one light. Do you want to do it right now?
You want to see what it looks like?
Yeah, I kind of want to see. Okay. Slightly.
Yeah. Barely.
Yeah. But what I'm thinking is lights off, and then we turn only one of the.
Oh,
So
okay.
then when the single shot comes in,
Yeah.
it will look different.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you want me to go first?
I want to go first.
Okay.
Okay.
Time starts.
Oh, you can see it. Okay, so full range of motion. There are a bunch of different benefits, and I think in terms of real world application, taking a muscle through full range of motion, taking a muscle through full range of motion is not only going to have other benefits for ligaments, tendons, and connective tissue that we otherwise wouldn't be having at, say, if we're in a fixed or stopped at, say, for example, a squat at 90 degrees, right? So thinking about a third world squat where we're going down into the bottom of that position, as long as the load is not exceeding anything too heavy, the benefits of that are going to be crazy compared to if we just stay in a partial range. If we're also looking at joint preservation over time, that's also going to be another big key factor. Oh my God, time is moving, and
And time is
uh,
up.
that's
Okay,
tough.
it is tough.
Okay,
1 minute's not long.
yeah, okay.
Okay, so
It is what it is. Damn, that was harder than I thought. And then seeing the time was nerve wracking.
okay.
Yeah. Okay. So that's my argument. My bullet points there. Okay.
Okay, so there are many forms of partial range of motion exercises, such as isometric, where the joint is actually not moving and you're moving against a non movable surface and activating the muscle. Also, in times when you can lift heavier loads through a shorter range of motion, you may be able to stimulate more muscle fibers to activate, and you can then utilize a longer range of motion for lighter resistances. So when it comes to beginners, if you're not actively able to stabilize a weight through full range of motion like a squat, not able to stabilize your pelvis and your spine, you may run into actual injuries of the spine. So it's important that you play around with the ranges to get most activation and stability.
Well done. Time to spare. Damn. Time to
That was hard.
spare.
That was hard.
I was the stumble came in the middle there, but you recovered well.
Yes,
I gotta
yes.
be honest. Damn, you bodied me on that.
Dang. Well, I don't know.
Okay,
We'll
yeah,
see.
you guys decide. I didn't even get into anything.
You can't.
Really.
It's 1 minute.
Yeah,
It's
but
tough.
so yeah, great points made there. Do you want to kind of get into the
Okay,
overall
so let me
discussion?
just explain first off that I am pro full range of motion.
Yes.
Okay.
But it is a fun exercise to do.
Yeah, I think so.
No pun
I like
intended.
sometimes going against my my beliefs.
Yeah,
So
because it might open your eyes to. I through reading up and looking at this, I found out a lot of new things and also some benefits from a more hypertrophic standpoint, where there might be a lot of benefits if you have an advanced training age and you're trying to throw a new spanner in the works for your own training. You know, however, like we've kind of said, and I think we'll get into a little mini discussion here um, about that and how full range for the beginner I think is a little bit more
yeah,
beneficial.
I think so. I think full range for beginner and advanced and intermediate is important, but I think your quality of movement is the most important, utmost importance.
Yeah.
Okay, so having stability, like okay, let's take a squat for example. If you can get down full range without any weight
Mhm.
on your back. 2 minutes? Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, so just quickly, we'll just quickly get into it,
Yeah.
okay? So just to reiterate what I said, you could use isometrics as a way to activate muscles and just change up your training style to create some novelty. Sometimes the partial reps, you can actually get more weight up
Mhm.
and potentially elicit more contraction and stimulation of all muscle fibers,
Mhm.
right? It is shown actually in isometric as you continue to push against an immovable surface, the muscle activation grows and grows and grows. So
Yeah.
So I think that's what I was getting at.
Yeah.
But full range of motion through through doing an exercise through full range of motion like a squat will really help, like you said, to establish better health. Yeah, there's no point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's just cut it here. Unless you want to say something.
I just
They probably won't care.
okay.
Okay.
Okay. That's probably just us. But yeah, I just to reiterate, the thing that I was finding was in real world applications, we don't know the range of motion that we're gonna be put under. So a perfect example is a step that we didn't expect was gonna be lower than it was. So it's good to practice different full range of motion so that the ligaments and joints get strong in those stretched positions so that you can be stable if there was to be something where you were unexpectedly put in that lengthened position.
So you're talking about dynamic stability
Yes.
of your joint.
Yeah.
So
That
meaning
you
the
can do in a so one of the ways you can kind of turn a squat into more of a mobilized stabilizing movement is taking it through full range of motion, getting a plate in front of you, getting a band in and around just above your knees, pushing out into that band, making sure that we're not losing that glute engagement, brace your core, pause at the bottom of the movement. So we're just dealing with body weight, right? And then going really slow through the eccentric phase as you're coming up. So these sort of things are like when you now translate that to your squat, all these sort of things, your squat, even if you're not going as low, you'll find a much better potential to lift even heavier, you know? Um, and I think it's important. The blood flow that we get towards our joints is a lot less than what we get to the muscles. And one of the ways that we can enrich that and add that is by putting ourselves in those full range.
yeah, there's definitely a pumping action
Yes.
in the joint where the synovial fluid will move from one end of the joint to the next.
Yes.
So it's really important to explore full range of motion.
Full range.
And also when it comes to managing pain of your knees
Mhm.
or your hips, taking your joint through full range of motion throughout the day, every day, is actually really important.
Yeah.
So if you want to, if you were ever diagnosed with osteoarthritis of your joints, it's important to take it through full range and gradually build that tolerance to the movement,
Mhm.
and you'll actually be much better.
Best way to put it, if I were to put a nice little button on it, we don't live life in partial ranges.
No,
You know, you don't halfway spread your arms open when you just wake up out of bed.
exactly.
You know, you don't only sit on chairs that are 90 degrees. You might have to sit on the floor. So it's important for us to take our bodies through those ranges of motions so that we can adapt with ease to those sort of circumstances. Think about if you're playing with your kids.
Yeah, by far the least visited range of motion for most people that I see in practice is hip extension,
100%.
because we stay in hip flexion
A lot.
in a seated position a
Yeah.
lot.
And that's why we got a lot of tight hips and not
Exactly.
working glutes.
So, well, hip extension is bringing that femur, that leg, back behind your buttocks. So, if you can get your knee behind your hip, then that's ideal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So think of a world's greatest stretch or lunge,
Couch stretch.
couch stretch. These are all great ways to get through that same
sure.
position.
All right, it was
Okay.
fun. I think
All right.
this was great for a first episode.
First one, you know, working through it. Stay with us, guys, and jump along this journey. And hopefully we can continue to offer you some valuable techniques
Yeah.
and tips and tricks to help you get beyond just the reps and
Exactly.
sets of it all.
You can't go wrong getting strong.
There we go. Take care, guys.